Everybody.
If somebody gave me that much money, I bet I could do something pretty great. We all probably could. I mean, 4 billion, 10 years.
Yeah. Work with that.
I think the pressure would kill me though. It has to be really, really good. Yeah.
You get in there, and I was there during rush hour, and
And there's 2 people walking through?
no. There's a steady stream of people. They opened up the corner where everybody used to go in, which is at Liberty and Church, and it's the same thing it ever was. You walk in. This is literally what it is. So you have this great hall.
Bottleneck of people.
No, just the opposite. So the great hall, and I was taking a group from China in, and we're standing at one end of the Oculus. And they were literally like the rats going along the edge of the room, and nobody walks through the Oculus.
Oh, really?
They were like, right, it's the short. No, it's the shortest route. I was sort of, I was going, that's the most people you're ever going to see walking through here until they open up the other entrances. It's so sad, and they have nothing in that center area. Though I know they have a plan to put some.
That was what I read.
Retail.
That it's incredibly
Some
empty
retail.
in the middle.
That's because the PA run. Just idiots.
Yeah. So retail is what's going to sit in the center then after all that?
No, some kiosks or whatever, but there's been a huge fight for years over it. They had a beautiful design for something that he didn't, that Calatrava didn't do, and got everybody all pissed off on the board.
Because it muddled
Just ruined
the Starkitect twin clarity of it.
Awful. It's even Grand Central has a little jewel in the center.
Clock.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna start even though Heather's not here. She didn't tell me she was gonna be late, so, you know what, let me give her a couple more minutes. We don't have a big agenda today. But you're doing 129 Main, and what's the other one?
And then Doug's, which one is that? Bill Point, I think.
Oh, yeah, 149 Fifth one?
No, Squires.
No.
Yeah, I thought it was Squires.
Squires.
Yeah,
Oh,
29. I'm 149
okay,
Gilroy.
good.
I do it if you want.
I know the model.
There she is.
Yeah, you know what? There's Bring her now.
149 or what?
149. Just Sarah made it drop these ones. I didn't come by mail.
You didn't?
No, I was telling Sarah when we got to my house.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was right in your house. I think Sarah probably dropped them off. Yeah, she probably must have.
I guess on Tuesday. Had to go.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, let's get started. Just like to remind everybody that the Architecture Review Board is being taped. I don't think it's being broadcast live, but it's certainly being taped.
I think that works.
This works.
Wow, too complicated.
What happened to the old on-off switch?
I don't know.
Testing. I don't know if it's working. There's no power to it.
I'll turn my mic around you.
Yes, I could do that. That'd be a little awkward. That's not where the camera is, I guess.
There's not going to be any batteries.
Okay. Well, you guys announce that you asked for point
All right,
two.
we're going to start with, we're going to go oldest to newest. We're going to start with continuation ARB 16-06, 129 Main Street, name of Foley. Exterior elevation changes. The applicants were in front of us last meeting, and there were several issues raised that we asked them to go back and review and address, and I believe they have done so. So, Mr. Malone, if you would like to start, let us know. For the record, Andrew was not here last
Okay.
so if, I don't think you can give too many details if you want to.
Okay. So, one of the issues that came up last time was about what would be future phases for the improvement of the building. What we had shown are improvements that really focus only on the ground level. And this is something that is budget driven by the owner. So the what we have added to the drawing set is a description of what would be included in this first phase of work, but then also what was planned to be included in the second phase. So the first phase of work includes the replacement of the windows on the bottom level. The windows right now are vinyl sided replacement windows that are dropped into 2x4 padding. You know, in the windows, the historic windows are gone. There is evidence of the old brick mold in certain locations, other areas it's been done. So the first phase improvements would include replacement of the ground floor windows in the old portion of the building, replacement of the south-to-south stairs to the retail space, which is here. These stairs are halfway across the opening now. They're going to be across the full opening, and the actual entry is going to be recessed, and that's mostly driven by accessibility and code requirements. The reconfiguration of the south facade, the stair to the that's the actual, this door frame is new, this door assembly, the entry assembly is new. Also this entry area here, this door is being replaced with a door that's similar to the design that's there now, but with a glazed opening, and then these stairs are being upgraded as well. This existing canopy is staying as is. Then on the west side of the building, which is the side that faces Hudson, again, the ground floor windows are being replaced, and in this area, an accessible ramp, which is acting as the accessible entrance to this ground floor retail space, is being added, and there's an existing stair to the basement that's being upgraded. The board asked that this, which was pushed into the future phase, be added to the existing phase, which I think is the right answer.
And I like the way you incorporated the railings into it to kind of restrict people, you know, the skateboarders from flying through it and
Right.
perhaps missing their marking going down the stairs.
We're trying to keep the, we did look at an option to take the stair down from this side, but there's stuff in the street that we don't know what's there, and since we're not in our own property, we kept the footprint of the ramp in the same location we tried to. So I think on this side, that's the limit of the work, and then on the rear elevation.
You were going to talk about the painting?
Oh, yes, and also the painting. Right now, the property is painted.
Yeah.
The lower level is painted. We're sort of in a conundrum because in the second phase, when you see, we're trying to leave open the possibility of a masonry restoration in the second phase. So we don't have the money to pull the paint off now and do a proper restoration, but the paint is in such poor condition that I don't think we want to leave it as is. So we're actually saying that we would repaint this area, and when we did that, right now, some of the brick and stone has been painted sort of painted white to match the trim. So we would just paint that all out, the brick color, the stuff that shouldn't be painted basically will be all painted out to look like what it originally was. And that would be sort of a stopgap phase to move into, to hold the building. It's almost like a mothballing approach to hold the building to a future phase. There's certain stuff that we're doing in this phase that would help and would stay put in the final phase. These lentils here are not brick, they're cast iron, except for the one I'm slinging it, which is actually fake. It's made out of wood, but the cast iron one must have broken. So these are all cast iron. The ones up here that have been painted probably in 60 or 70 years need to be painted. So we're showing these all painted as part of the first phase, just because the cost associated with that isn't great, and it'll help stuff stay.
You had said what the color was when you did some scraping on the cornice. Did you figure out what the color was?
The cornice is a gray, a dark gray, We have evidence of scrapings at ground floor windows, that the windows were also gray, and we have evidence that the lintels were also gray. So the whole building was kind of a Victorian dark gray, and the proposal is to go back to that. So what we're showing is actually a clad window. Again, this building has a history of lack of maintenance, and I think going forward it will continue, and that's what drove us to the clad. There's a cladding color that Marv makes it very close to what was there. So we're using that as the base color and then painting everything basically to match that cladding.
Can you hand the photographs to Andrew?
Is it down the road that replace all the windows in the building and make them 2/2s or not?
Yeah, well, that was part of what we had shown in the first phase was an arch-top window on the south facade and a flat top on the side. And this was basically budget-driven. We would have liked to do the arch-tops everywhere, could not afford it. And one of the things that I think Ken brought up last time is why are they not 2x2? We thought that the scale would be better. So what we're actually showing here is, yeah, it's sort of a step, it's a step down in one way. We're not showing the arch top on the south because we can't afford it. We can't afford to do it everywhere. But the cost of adding the 2x2 is $100 or $200 per window. Yeah, 200 per window. So that's something we can do. In the near term, though, you're going to have 2x2 on the bottom and crappy vinyl windows above. Yeah. So that's something that you know, and you have to live with that. We are showing in this phase painting the vinyl. You know,
So the gray.
So, yeah, so it'll last. You know, how long will that last? It'll last a couple of years, maybe before it starts coming off. But you know, I don't know what you guys feel. I think that might be. If you're going to be up on these windows painting the lentils anyway, so you're going to be up there, but you know, even if it's sacrificial, it's going to come off in a few years. We'll still clean it up in that short term.
Are you gonna do the east side too?
Yes. So the east side is shown here. So again, the work would be limited to the lower level. So these would all be upgraded to the modern window. The trim panned out, but this is not painted white, it would be painted the red at least, or the brick. You know, we'll probably try to adjust the color. This brick is actually orange. You know, the paint that's on it is brick, like they must have just gone to the say brick. So we'll try to get it
Or we'll
closer.
show the picture of a flat top window in an arch. No rosettes. You're not gonna put the rosettes up?
Those are examples of other buildings in the village that have the flat top window and the segmental arch brick opening.
Right. So the other items that, you know, besides, that's sort of the rough scale of what we're doing. The other things that we're saying would be in the future phase would be sod renovation, which would be the masonry renovation, and then also the AC. Right now there's window units throughout. We recently helped with the building on the corner of Dutcher Street, which you have to get that one. You know, to basically take out the window units, put the split systems, hide the condenser somewhere, and you put the split system. So we've started to talk to Ann about that being the right answer going forward. If we do figure out how to get that into the first phase, at least for the ground floor space, we'll try to do that. The other items that came up was like a paved masonry concern. We talked about arch-type windows to outlets. It's a garbage enclosure. We added a garbage enclosure. Heather brought out that I guess garbage is everywhere. So the whole north,
Underneath the stairs?
underneath the stairs, we are showing like a simple wood, whatever, a cedar garbage enclosure, like 4 of them that can fit underneath those stairs, have a lid, have the door open, and they can fit 8 55-gallon tubs. You know, if their capacity is greater than that, you know, they gotta think of something else. You know, I think they need a dumpster. if their
I used to have a
capacity is greater
dumpster
than that.
there.
So that's what we're showing now, just to make sure that that becomes part of this project. And then there was an improvement to the handrail that we were, which when we looked at it more closely, we were, The handrails, to meet modern handrail code is a struggle. And what Ed Marin gave us leeway not to go to 42 inches on this thing. So he said that he was going to treat it as an existing building and let the handrail act as the handrail, which would be the traditional case of a building this age. You have to make it really compliant, this would have to be 42 and then you have to put a handrail
Handrail
inside,
next to
and
it,
then it becomes a mess.
You showed that on the ramp though, did you not?
Yes, I did show the ramp, because that's actually a guard condition where there's a serious
We'll
fall.
go back to that like you've done here.
Yeah, we left that at 42. This one, you know, mic's on. You know, I don't think this is incredibly dangerous condition. This fall, I just,
Yep.
The ramp rail is more prescriptive also in terms of code.
yeah. So this is, the drawing's a little bit ugly. I mean, we'll be working with the metal company to get a shop on this to try to kind of, you know, we just sort of showed a.
You talked about the color scheme on the windows, what about the doorways, I don't think Ken brought that up.
Yeah, everything is gonna go to be gray. So, and also this paneling on the inside face, so the whole assembly would look like a sort of a window assembly. So the building is gonna become much darker and Victorian, it's gonna have more like a library look sound.
Add a light into the ceiling, if you would.
Yes.
Either surface.
Would you, I mean, I would, you know, I
If
know
you
you
could
can't
mark it
really
on-
tell people like colors and stuff, but painting brick red, would you ever paint the whole bottom of the building a darker shade of gray, and then the windows pop is lighter, and that inset pops is lighter,
You know-
and it looks more intentional rather than trying to match a brick color, which we all know will never, it
Right.
won't look like that.
Yeah, you know, this is my thought, is like if you were going to, one of the approaches to this, if it costs $400,000 to get the paint off the brick, you know, maybe there's an approach where you paint the whole building, it's not unheard of to do.
And it looks
Right,
better.
so that was like, in the future, in the second phase,
Right.
you know, that would be what would be looked at. You look at, and that's why I said facade renovation, like, either it's a restoration
Yep,
where you take it
or
off,
you're cleaning
or
it
the
up.
whole thing paints it. So then in the near term, like, should we pick that color now, or should we just take it with it? I mean, I could go either way on that, I'm just thinking like, what would be more consistent as a stopgap, as a mothballing measure? If you want to leave open the option of pulling it off.
So you're not painting the cornice now? That's
No, the cornice is good.
Oh. Yeah.
I gotta tell you,
Is that expensive to sandblast it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Do
yeah.
a proper masonry restoration on this
Yeah,
building.
it's almost in front of the building, that's how.
Do more
Yeah,
damage.
and
some
you end up, you don't know why it's painted, right? Like, once you start taking the paint
I'm
off,
with the
there's
gray.
reason for the paint.
You're hiding a multitude of
Fine,
sins.
and so you have to, you can't go in thinking
Yeah.
it's just stripping it.
would you I agree with Andrew here, would you consider a gray instead of the red?
Yeah, like a warm gray.
Well-
Like a shade or two darker than the windows. So the windows read as like an inset element and the entry does, and then it just looks like a base with a brick top that like you see.
My only worry about going really dark is how many coats it would take to get there. This was the other argument for leaving it red, because if you want to take it
Easy.
off, I was thinking like you could really go real light with this, like
You're right, and
single
some of the
coat.
paint stuck on still look okay with the red.
Right.
In my opinion, I think that doing something like Andrew is suggesting has more of a visual impact than if we were to do less harm by trying to match the general color of the brick. But especially
the
if
paint was
it's a
in a-
temporary condition.
Yeah, if the paint was in a little bit better condition, you wouldn't even bother, but it's like, it's just chipping, peeling right off pieces of it. So my thought was is that you'd have people lightly scrape what they can off and then just recoat it like once. And then
How's the trim over the residential entrance?
it's in relatively good shape.
It looked like it was in good shape.
Yeah, and that's gonna have its final paint, like
Yeah.
when you do the real painting on, as would be any of the wood, well, there's not gonna be any other wood, well, there'd be wood trimmer on the new door, but there's not gonna be the wood trimmer.
We think that's original, excepting maybe the roofing itself has been switched out, and the brackets.
Okay. Anybody need any?
What about the stone on the bottom? Is that stone?
The
Yeah,
black,
I
the
sort
black.
of have been punting on that one too, that's
Yeah,
in the
that's-
masonry, restoration portion. I don't think that's paint patch, I think someone waterproofed it. So if that's waterproof and it's rain on there, you know, I don't know. That was
Black tar, like
black.
brown color.
No, I think it was like, okay, there's leaks in the basement, that's waterproof.
Little Vulcan job?
Yeah. So again, that you need a masonry expert to figure out whether they can take it off. And then what may end up happening is, you know, if the cost of taking it off is prohibitive, then you try to paint it back to, you know, they did quite a good job painting the tunnel already up there. Now maybe we get the set painters to come back and try. Did you see that they did that?
In the tunnel.
Yeah. But I mean, honestly, we haven't looked at that in detail. I just know that that is a big number and it's a disaster. You know, actually, at one point we looked at planters in front of it. As a way around.
The buffer.
Well, this is a great step.
Yeah, it's better than it is now. It's a lot better, so.
Talk about the,
The what?
going
The,
down to the basement, are we still, you're not finished, right?
Oh, no, well, we didn't talk about it yet, but here we are. We adding, so what's going down in the basement is a very simple, it's a very simple concrete stair. So it'll have a new concrete retaining wall, that guardrail that's shown in the other.
The, yeah,
So this is intended to not look historic or it's not supposed to look like anything. It's just supposed to look like concrete access there. And you know, right now this is just, you know, this is dirt, this is railroad ties. I think this is railroad ties. I think the stair is made out of railroad ties. Right?
It is. Yeah.
So this is,
maybe I don't understand.
That's a poured concrete stair.
yeah, more concrete stair.
So, you're taking, so you're taking this down? I don't understand this, you're taking this down?
oh, you should check.
Oh, yeah, that's all.
Yeah,
I'll show you the other
So,
one.
yeah, I know,
Yeah,
that's
you're below
going down
grade.
the stairs. It's
Yeah.
a rail,
So, so there needs to be a guardrail, so they can pull down.
yeah, that was my question.
So there's a guardrail around the opening,
So ugly.
and then the, well, this kind of stair rail that we left sort of open that we discussed last time, that would just be continuous right down this stair.
Like the sidewalk of the property. What's that?
So, you know, and we didn't take, there's not a fall hazard here, so we didn't take the guardrail all the way to there. We just left the guardrail where there's actually a fall hazard. And again, this is not in the decorative language of this is meant to be the minimum guardrail requirement that you can do there.
Wouldn't it be nicer if they were both the same?
Uh,
Don't you think they should
This
be?
is more appropriate. You don't want to fake the old
Oh,
or
I see.
something like that. That's not a
Look at the-
decorative.
But what ends up doing when you do something like this, the decorative one, is it makes it very apparent. So like, if you, and this is also on this kind of funky slope, I don't know, I somehow I feel like it might be a better place for just a utilitarian rail that you can see through more. You know, sometimes when you do preservation and the stuff's not original, right, you see that gray.
Hierarchy to the main old, you know.
Right. You don't want to
It's a
pretend, you
front or
don't,
what?
here we are actually pretending that this is old to some extent, and that's really kind of a no-no in preservation, but here, I think maybe we should not pretend it's old. Because I think what it ends up doing is it makes it more, because also the stair is going to be concrete.
This is the side you see, like, just coming up the hill, that, you see all that.
Right,
You see it.
right, but my hope is that that guardrail would be a little bit less apparent, and you wouldn't be drawn to it as much as you would if we did like a decorative one.
Actually, Heather, the Secretary of Interior standards for rehabilitation or treatment of historic buildings, one of the main standards is that if you're doing something new, you let that be expressed in its own time.
But you're taking down something that was
So
old.
that you're not
you're
You're
taking,
not pretending
I understand that, I completely
design
understand.
a new, old-looking.
Well, I'm not disagreeing with you, but you're taking down something old. You're
Heather, you're
taking,
talking about what they're taking down on the side.
yeah, that wood
That's,
thing.
that's not,
Just
that's not even a code.
It's not even
that's
original.
I know, but wouldn't it be nicer if it were wood instead of metal? I mean, it just looks so cold.
Not with the rest of the railings being.
That wood railing is not original to the building. We have
I
no
would suggest
evidence
that
of
it's
what
not.
was original.
I would think it's not original, but
I don't know if there's a wood solution there that would be, you know, I'm not sure.
That'd be the only thing wood.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think that this building is probably more appropriate in masonry and metal to the extent that we can do that. Like, I could see this being a masonry wall,
Mhm.
you know, that would be another approach to it.
that would be another approach.
But I think you obliterate the building. I think the other is more straightforward.
And I think that whole thing is obliterating the building, that whole ramp thing.
Yes, 8-foot railings.
It's really, I'm sorry to disagree, Heather, but I think doing it transparent and leaving it sort of alone as the sidewalk, and you see the building, is a lot better than it is, right? And you're also taking the curb down, right? That's your idea, to run it along the sidewalk and make it even less prominent.
Anybody else?
And the railing's only on one side, right? That's the,
Yes, go back a little.
is that? Oh, yeah, okay.
Return to just one side and then returns.
Are you putting a step up? So you have to go up to go down?
Yeah,
2 steps.
well, and the thought is that you're exiting the building here to go down
Uh-huh.
that basement. But yeah, you have to go up two to go down.
That makes it even, that's great, because then nobody's gonna get in there, right?
Right, I mean, it sort of makes it clear
I
that
find
it's,
it as one unified plant rather than three separate elements.
You might find a couple kids. You can see the kids down there,
Yes.
but think about this in terms of skateboarding, this is like awesomeness. You got this rail, you got that, you got all the way down there.
It's gonna happen.
And then you have a call to 911.
Now, three kids are gonna do it.
I think the ADA, federal ADA and skateboarding really come together
Oh,
really
yeah.
well.
Yep.
So it helps.
I agree.
Not good.
Okay. Anybody else?
I do. There's a chain link fence in the back of the property that's severe disrepair.
Where is it? Do you know, is it like separating the property from the,
St. Barnabas.
from St. Barnabas? Okay.
You guys must have seen that.
I'm not sure whose fence that is, Heather. That may be Con Edison's fence.
I don't think it's Con Edison's fence because it's not on Con Edison's property. It's really St. Barnabas and this property.
But Con Ed does go back to this property line.
I don't know
So
if
I looked at the lot.
Yeah.
And it is, there's a fence. So, the church put up a fence
on their side.
on their side a couple of years ago, and it's stockade fence with a door.
Okay.
You know, you see,
Well, one of
And
the
they've
things that
done-
makes you feel any better is
So-
that Ann said she did want to yell in the garbage container. She wanted to improve that area in the back.
so
I don't
instead,
think that's you're talking about on the east.
this is what I'm talking about, maybe you have a
East
picture about it. But you have a,
Plan.
oh, yeah, here, the site,
Yeah, that's fine. Oh. So that one on the north side.
here we go, chain link, right there, so obviously it's right here, and it's not up and it's not down, it does, and this is, it's right here.
Okay, that might be a property maintenance issue. Is it actually falling over?
I'm surprised you guys haven't seen it if you looked at that.
Yeah, it's been directed elsewhere, but.
Yeah, I mean, this is where all the garbage hangs out. So if you saw this, you had to have seen this.
Well, let me push
It's a
to,
mess.
let me push to have her address that just as maintenance, because if it's a fence that's failing or falling over
But,
or.
but you know how we don't really like chain link so much anymore?
Right.
Is this is the fence she's talking
No,
about?
no. just talking
Because
about
this is the comment fence.
And I'm not talking about that.
You're talking about this.
Correct.
That may not be the property line. But I see what
Well,
that
either
line
way,
is.
it's on, it's
Yeah.
so maybe a conversation.
It's her fence, maybe.
It's pretty much on the property.
Yeah, I don't see the property line from here. So I'll look at the real survey and see where it is. If that's the property line, the asphalt edge, but that doesn't look like, that's the, they have a light line for property here. That may be the church's fence. I'll take a look.
We'll have an address.
Yeah, I think that's a note that you could give him and say, like, if it's, this is one of the things that I think some of the property maintenance stuff needs to be, you know, addressed. You know, a lot of the issue with this building is property maintenance.
That's the north side?
That's not- I don't think it's on the property.
Anybody else, any other issues? Yeah. Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the application?
Motion to accept?
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can I just read that?
Okay. 4, 0, 1 refusal. Okay. 149 Field Point was here and just stepped out, so we'll, oh, there she is. Okay, continuation number 2, ARB 16-08, 149 Field Point Drive, Heidenberg.
Yes.
John? Let me hold on to it, never mind. You want to try to get them?
So I never did this before, so you want me to put the drawings up?
Just, if you would first give us your name.
Judith Eisenberg.
Okay. Yep, whatever you have, you can put up.
So this is for a replacement of the existing windows. And a revision of the deck. So the windows that I'm replacing, I'm not cutting any new windows, it's just replacement of the existing windows. And then on the deck, what I'm looking to do is replace what's already there in a smaller footprint. The deck is pretty worn, the wood, and I just wanted to update the deck area. So I was actually making it smaller. And then, right now there's a sliding door here, I wanted to make that into French doors.
Okay, you're removing 2 benches, I see. Is that, are they on the deck?
They're on the deck, yeah.
What's the material you're gonna be making the new deck out of?
I haven't finalized it yet, but something like Trex or one of those. Yeah.
And just point to which windows are being replaced.
This doesn't show all of them,
I can't
actually.
read.
So, these over here,
Mhm.
one up here.
Okay,
Oh.
that's great. I got it. Yep, now I understand. And you have a cut of the windows? Just for reference.
There's no real touching.
Yeah. No?
Are the windows to match existing, they're just new?
Match
To
existing.
match the ones that are on the rest of the...
Yeah, so what happened was before I bought the property, they had replaced already a few of them, so I just want to match what's already there, their Anderson windows.
Vinyl clad or something?
Yeah. And the homeowner's development has very specific
But they
Yep.
have-
requirements, so
Yep.
it's whatever they're
Okay.
requiring.
Good.
It's funny how they regulate the windows and they don't care about the railings.
Yeah.
No color for railings.
Okay.
Well, I lumped those two together, actually. Okay, anybody have any questions? Do we have a motion to accept the application?
Motion to accept.
Second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. In a couple of days, you'll get something in the mail from the building department, or you can call them tomorrow and ask them, if you're in a rush, to how soon you can get the permit and
Okay.
get it moved on.
All right. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
All right. Give me 1 second. Okay, next on the agenda, we go into new matters. I don't believe the representative of ARB 1613, 53 Hudson Avenue, John, is here. So we'll skip over that and go to ARB 1614, Squires, 23 Cedar Lawn Road. Interior alteration. This is a ducting floor. Yeah.
That has definitely changed.
Being represented tonight
Pay for
by...
this.
You know, in most circles, this would never happen, John. One person represents the other.
Those in Aspen skiing.
Oh, what a curse.
Poor man.
Just give him a hard time.
The thing is I do all the time, so this is still my pens. So the project, it seems like an interior project, and the kitchen has been revised to have a counter along this side. So there's an existing window here. There's 2 windows with high sills, and 1 window with a level sill. Doug seems to have proposed a radical.
Shocking, shocking,
Shocking.
shocking.
I did give him a hard time. I was like, well, they're not centered between the columns. I don't think there's that much. I
It's
mean,
easier to move the columns than it is the windows.
I think, I don't think, and also, if we want to make fun of them, he's like,
Yes.
those numbers, he had nothing to do with them, but I was gonna say that he designed those.
Those are existing wires, so.
Everybody in that neighborhood's getting new kitchens.
Yeah.
Not like this must be true. Yes, you know, everybody in that
We'll
neighborhood.
keep it up with the Joneses.
Everybody in that neighborhood.
All right.
Was this a
Okay.
intersection? Were the elevations in intersections? I'm gonna check. I might have missed it. They were all there?
I think they are.
Just check, because I might have missed it. Pardon me. What sheet is that? A2.
Great.
There.
Great.
Right.
All the information on the windows are on the paperwork, so I can... Yeah, I think they...
I think, he has an spec sheet, I think includes
The window schedule right there.
oh, it's match existing.
Does it have a manufacturer on it?
That says, you know, given the age of that house, though, I think it's probably not gonna be a problem. I have a feeling maybe like Anderson Quality is what you're gonna look for on the plan. He is showing, in the elevation, he's showing the horizontal divisions of the window to match the existing.
How do you match those windows on top of them? All right. Anybody, any questions?
Nope.
Okay. Motion to accept the application,
So moved.
second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay. 112.
Georgia, very well. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't think he's wrong.
I get paid a beer.
Yeah, I bet.
It could be worse. I don't need that. Okay. Last and final call for ARB 16-13.
You're presenting this one?
No, I'm
Fence.
sitting this one out.
Did anybody actually, I mean, I have a question about it. Anybody actually looked at this?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions?
I couldn't tell which one, I know, but you couldn't tell which one was which. And it needs to be revised so you, on the plan, so that identifies which one. It's obvious,
It wasn't.
there was a plan.
Well, there was,
color.
yeah, right.
Yeah,
The blue and the yellow?
yep. I assume the blue is the picket and the yellow is,
No,
the blue is the,
actually, yeah.
is the deer
Right,
fence.
Right.
So, so it says 7 feet, is that been accepted by
Yes,
Ed?
for deer
7
fence,
to 8, right?
7, for deer fence, yes.
Minimum 7.
Yeah.
Maximum 8 or something?
I don't think there's a minimum, maximum is 8.
And is it is wire fence acceptable, or does it have to?
It's coded.
It's
Coded.
coded wire and 2-inch square, just some dimension.
2 by 4. And it said black or green. Is it, what, do you know if the color's been set? I'm really curious about it.
It
I
can be either.
think, I don't remember, but it was painted. I think
Yeah.
it was in black or green, I forget, or,
Like Chat was the first deer fence. Remember that?
yeah.
Chat
Wasn't
the
that
first
long
deer
ago.
fence. Yeah, it was the first deer fence.
First one who officially asked.
Yeah.
Is there a difference in deer fence if it's on the property line versus whether it's like standard in the vegetable garden?
Yeah.
I say we give out rifles a lot cheaper and
Yeah.
And how it's, posts,
meat for the
the
poor.
posts are set in concrete. Yeah, it's a good.
I think
yeah.
they have to be.
Yeah.
Once they're not charged.
But they can use deer fence.
We will,
Come back to that?
yeah, that'll be a continuation for next meeting, which is 2 weeks from tonight. As I said, the minutes were edited by me, and then I asked Deb if it was all right to send them out. She asked me if I would send them out, but as I said, I think I copied you, Mark? Yeah. I just wanted to, it's probably better to have the minutes that you read plus the 30 to 40 South Broadway minutes together as a package, so we want to approve these minutes tonight. We'll hold off till next meeting, probably approve those minutes and tonight's minutes all at the same time.
Generally, when there's, the votes for and against, the members who, they're not on this,
The 3-2?
right?
Yeah,
That
I
needs to
actually,
be
I have
done.
thought about that, because in most cases,
It needs to be done.
in some cases you do.
This ca- Yeah, we should do that,
All right, do you
Yeah.
remember what that vote was?
sure.
Hold on.
Gail and I voted for, and against was, you vote against, and Deb did, and Ken did,
Is this all panels,
Yeah. on
1607?
the front of the house.
Okay, so, against was who?
Myself, Deb, and you.
Okay, I will make those changes. Anybody else have any other issues, changes, recommendations? Okay. Anybody have anything further to?
Yeah, on 4060 Broadway, the,
30, yeah.
on,
3040.
no, the one, the Brightview.
98 or?
98, it's not really about the minutes, but I spoke to the chair of the planning commission about having a joint meeting at some point. He seemed okay, he seemed ready to listen to the discussion. I gave him my card, I haven't heard back from him, so I'll reach out to him and talk about having a joint meeting and discussion for the presentation, and
Now you're talking about for that particular project, or?
for that particular project. And I was thinking for 3040 Broadway as it comes forward, but they have other work to do, I guess, on that.
Well, the Brightview, sorry to interrupt, the Brightview is going to be a ways off.
Yeah, that's what Larry said. He said it was a ways off.
You know, we've,
Got a lot to do.
Can you explain to me why we don't need a new DEIS?
yeah.
Because it didn't make any sense the way Marianne explained it.
Well, it's because, okay, this happened also with Mercy. It gets very funky. The DEIS is the first, you have you get together, you find the scope, you do the scoping, and then they respond to the scoping by generating the DEIS. The problem is, what we normally would think of going to the FEIS is it's totally rewritten. It's not. What it is, it's almost like a series of change inserts. It's like a binding of changes, plus then all the questions brought up are answered, and they're typically
But answered for the previous project.
answered for whatever is the final version of the project that they're doing the FEIS. But what they won't necessarily do is rewrite every scrap of information. The DEIS axis is kind of like dead now in a sense. It's frozen. It's off to the side. Now they move forward and they address all the questions and answer them. And what I've seen, like in the Mercy FEIS, is they refer back to the DEIS.
What if there's a whole new set of questions? What are they going to respond to? No one's, offering. You know what I'm saying? As far as I'm concerned, that document was specific to the original project.
Right. If it does happen that way, what typically happens is that it's the same questions. It's just that they're in response. They're, again, like they're downscaling or something to reduce impacts. And so, let's say it's stormwater retention and processing. So if they reduce coverage, then and reconfigured, then they may have different positions for the pipes and the culverts, the Coltex and all that shit. But they're basically addressing the same issue. Do you know what I'm saying? It's not a new issue. It may be a different scale of a different amount of stormwater. I'm trying to think of one where it's, or maybe you could help me. Give me an example between, this is not a challenge, I'm just trying to help me think this through, between the existing large design they have for the DEIS and the current version, which is more of that T-shaped version.
Well, excavation, number one.
But it's a reduction in excavation.
Is it?
Yes, but they have to show that. So
They have to show that in what?
well, it's not totally answering questions on the level of, if they make those kinds of changes, they'll put a new, discussion chapter in
Well,
that says.
That's the answer to that. If in fact they do that, it's for me, it's at least readdressing this very specific issues that are coming
They'll
up.
put the detail that you need in, and then also answer the questions that came up.
But in the FEIS?
Yes, the problem is the FEIS, what I've seen of the FEIS, the one that I saw that paid the most attention to the Mercy one, it's not quite as coherent as the DEIS. It's not necessarily a coherently front-to-back document, I guess. It seems more jumbled when you first react to or respond to it. Maybe I'm just not remembering the FEIS correctly. Because there was a second volume of the FEIS that was all the verbatim question and answers. I forget what they did to try to pull all the changes together in the FEIS. But the other thing that happens is they're writing the draft, but then the trustees, as lead agency, have to accept that. And if we don't accept what they're saying, then we have to go in and actually take control of the document to do final editing. So a lot of that is if there are assertions that are more like advertising assertions, you know what I mean? Like marketing and kind of PR type assertions that we might not necessarily agree with, but we're gonna have to go in and remove them. And that could be a real issue if the whole document is written in a certain tone.
Is that the case?
It typically is. The DEIS was written in a certain tone.
So you see that to be true currently?
I haven't seen anything of the FEIS process yet.
My main concern was that, in my mind, there's a little bit of a disconnect. And when someone asked Marianne if the DEIS would have to be redone, she was, beside herself, like, why would you ask such a silly question?
Well, it's not, it must, yeah, it's, I mean,
And it really, to me, wasn't that cut and dry. It's still not that cut and dry, even though you did a pretty good job explaining,
I think the point is, you don't go back and you keep editing that. You start the fresh document.
That's fine. That's what the person was asking, and she said, no, you don't have to.
Well,
She was saying that, but you don't have to redo, so the DEIS is just to create the scope and all the issues that are come up. If there's a major change, and that's up to the whatever the agency who's in charge, or the lead agency, if they make to say, wait a minute, this has changed so much, you need to go back to the DEIS, but from what I saw, it didn't change the major issues.
Yeah, I think all the issues are
It's
pretty much
not-
the same. They've changed the scale of the issues, but potentially downsizing some of the impacts. There's less coverage. The one area where it has changed a bit is that there's less inside parking, so there's more outdoor parking now.
There's also less need because of the fact that it's only assisted and memory care. There's no, the group of people, or there was going to be the bulk of the people were going to be able to come and go as they please, so they'd have their own cars and, there'd be
Well,
more
what's
traffic.
70? Was it 70 or not, or what was the independent living number?
It was
70.
significant enough that.
I thought that's how they were selling this to Irvington, that these were, downsizing and going into a place like this.
Yeah, it's a
You know,
pretty expensive
they-
place for downsizing if you're independent. I mean, assisted living, you get a lot of services.
It is expensive, but that was still the selling point to us, and now it's changed.
That's because they were trying to run a model where they had like a funnel model, siphon, whatever, funnel or siphon. You start with a large population of independents who, some of those would move forward to assisted, some of those would move forward feeding into the memory care. So it's less disruptive to that population if they know they can move forward. Well, now there won't be the independent size.
I think Kendall has similar.
Oh, sure.
And there are couples who, don't necessarily live in one or the other. One part of the couple will live in one, and it allows the other part of the couple to live just in assisted.
Right.
So,
So my point was that this is how Brightview was selling this to the village of Irvington, that you could come and live here, come and go, be part of the community, and that's changed.
I think they were selling it on more points than just that, but the other
So
thing
they have
is,
they have two other areas.
they also, one of the things they've done is that they're also increasing the size of the assisted care units. A number of them are going to be a larger configuration. And they're doing that because they think it makes it actually more, I don't want to say tenable, but more attractive as a living situation if you're going from 900 to 1,200 square feet, for instance, for these assisted units.
Another thing that caught my eye, or that was part of the conversation that I didn't challenge that night was, in the DEIS, they spoke of the fact that our village policy is that for recreation fees, assisted and independent care units contributed to the total number of fee requirements.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're saying they don't have fee requirements anymore because there's no independent living. Well, the fee requirements were for, even in their own documents, they said it was for independent and assisted.
I don't think they're going to get away with that. That's just
Doesn't help.
that's just illegal.
That helps the recreation department.
No, I'm the opposite. It doesn't help them to.
I don't think that's gonna.
Because that was a selling point, or at least it came up and it was, shot down.
Did they talk about staff, size of staff, relative ratios?
Yeah,
In the
I mean,
DEIS,
the staff numbers were in the 45 range for the previous. They haven't talked about what the downsized staff would be, but let's say it's two-thirds.
No, it probably isn't. I bet you it's just maybe because all the staff really is for the assisted and the members.
So say it's
The independent people really didn't have.
45, and like 20, that was something like that for the shifts.
Did the assisted go up? The number of assisted
Yes,
went up?
the assisted went up slightly.
They may have gone up, the actual.
I don't think that I think the assisted went up and then the memory care stayed just about the same. That
Oh, I
might
did,
have gone,
yeah.
that might have gone up a couple of.
I think it was pretty much the same, but
And did that lead to a conversation about the bus stop or sidewalks?
That hasn't been addressed in the sense that that was major things out of the DEIS, and when they presented the reworked design, I mean, that's the first thing I said to them, was, one of the first things I said to them is, you're coming here with a design to present to us a new concept, and you haven't even started to address our issues of public safety yet, which,
well, they did incorporate the stone walls at the entrance, though, that we brought up. But
Yes.
no, but I mean, that only hurts them because they can't get a sidewalk around them.
You need a sidewalk.
well, they're gonna have to pull them back. you know. So, I mean, the whole thing is that, and even putting sidewalks on their section of the frontage
to
isn't
take
gonna
out
help
the
unless the
way that-
bus stop is moved. Or,
Bus stop is up at 120 right now.
no, there's another one down
Like Circle
near,
Drive.
at the end of Circle Drive. So
Circle Drive.
either you, I don't believe they're gonna put a third bus stop in, so one of them's gonna move if it's, becomes a critical enough mass of ridership. What we don't wanna,
What's the critical mass of ridership?
I don't know, I
that
don't
10?
deal with,
4?
that's
Yeah.
beeline statistics. I think if you have like 45 people a shift, and let's say, for giggles, at least half of them are gonna be, probably not driving, depending on the demographic of the hired help. So you're talking 25 people coming in and out, every 7 hours, 8 hours.
So they need to provide.
The real problem is gonna be getting across the street,
Mm-hmm.
because there's a certain amount are gonna come from the north, certain amount come from the south, and, just
Come up from
simply
the
putting
train, come up
across,
from the train.
simply putting a crosswalk across there is gonna be not as successful as we know. It's not,
Goes right across the Isabel's
The next-
house.
The next crosswalk down is the kids have gotten hit in the crosswalk.
Yep.
So, and that's,
With a
in a very
With a
congested
light.
area. Yeah, with a
We
light.
have to have another light, yeah.
so it's a real, that
That's
section, there's a lot of,
It took us 3 years, the village took 3 years to get the Downtown line, so.
there's a lot of hoops they're gonna have to jump through before it even looks like they can. But the biggest thing, looking forward, and that's is to what you were talking about, it's really silly to have this, if it passes through, if the zoning change passes and there's some kind of general agreement to size, scope, blah, 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 configuration, it goes forward to the planning board, you guys have got to get involved from the beginning. It doesn't make any sense otherwise.
Well, we contend that, anything short of a complete new house needs to be, we need to be involved in from.
Right, so that's what you have to, are you speaking with Pat about that? We're trying to.
I have not yet.
We haven't, this was just a preliminary conversation.
Well, I mean, the idea for a one-off for Brightview or Denarderville makes a lot of sense, but it even makes more sense just for the general.
The whole process. I
Yeah,
thought this
I
would
mean,
be.
we've, even back in my days on the Board of Trustees, we talked about streamlining the process. It has to be streamlined. It's just not fair to the applicants to have to be a ping pong ball going back and forth.
Well, I could see that you still have to have ARB approval, so they still have to come here at some point just because of the way the code is written, you don't get all your approvals out of the planning board, right?
Right.
But it doesn't mean that, like you said, it doesn't have to be a ping pong match.
A lot of it could be simultaneous.
It
It
should be.
should be.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else, anything new? Old business?
We said we were gonna start talking about the checklist, but we can do that another time.
Well, just because of I have some concern about in the checklist, it's really important that the pushback you get from the zoning board is that they can't be arbitrary. So it's got to be clear and consistent in the sense of the application of it. So it can't just be, I think they sort of fight back at the ARB when it's too taste-based and not, whatever that means.
Well,
No, this is
there's-
just a checklist.
This is like
There's-
This is
basic,
like
like
basics.
photographs of the place.
Well, no, oh, no, I'm not, check, there's certain, okay,
That's all-
checklists.
that's what we're
I'm
just-
talking about
Application
certain-
submission
We're talking about,
checklist.
there's actually a number of different checklists. we're
Right.
talking
Yeah,
about.
I'm talking about some decision checklists,
Yeah.
like sign checklist, potentially fence, potentially solar panels.
Right.
There's all these things that,
And to me, they're all separate.
they are separate, right? Sorry, I was,
yeah, and we have the sheets that talk about those, the zoning sheets that talk about it. As a starting point, the one that says, you know, for, in general, the group prefers it be on the west side of the, or whatever, not off the main road, I can't remember, you gave it to us.
Non-street facing.
Non-street facing and things like that. It just needs another round. It's not- We're not talking about taste based. We're not talking about taste based.
We did receive a checklist, I don't know who gave it to us, to be honest with you. And we also received
It must have been,
a
I think,
checklist from another municipality.
I think the building department had been working on a check,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'll do that, get what he has and make copies of it, distribute it, and ask for, you know, initial comments, and then we can, as a board, talk about it in general.
you know, the incoming checklist makes a lot of sense also. I mean, that's, it must have been what you were referring to, so.
I think we're really talking about job specific, you know, windows, what they call mechanical, which, you know, in most cases is solar panels and you know, exterior alterations, a new house, that kind of stuff. So I think they probably could get away with 4 or 5 different lists, but they just need to be generated and then fine tuned and go from there. Okay, anybody else? Motion to adjourn. In favor?